What is your, I don't know, what's your guess?
Generally speaking, since 1979, with the referendum of Imam Khomeini for the type of ruling in Iran, and was supported and people supported the ruling of the Islamic Republic, Iranians like to vote. They like to go and cast their vote, whatever candidate they would like to elect, or they prefer one against another. This is a freedom of expression. This is a freedom of voting. So because of that, people in Iran will go to vote. Now, it is important to understand that Iran is a big country. There are more than 85 to 90 million people, and in every country, every single country in the West and in the Middle East, and wherever there are free elections, there are people who support a certain candidate against another, and people who really don't bother to go and vote because they have their own excuses and reason not to go to vote. I think because of the death of President Raisi, it is important for the Iranian population to manifest themselves, and I am very confident that it's going to go beyond the 50% of the people who's going to vote, because the policy of Iran is more clear now. We've seen how Iran supported the distance from the West if the West want to dictate its policy, but at the same time extending the arm toward the West if the West is willing to do business with Iran on the basis of equal and balanced respect of the sovereignty of each side. And we have seen how the Americans are imposing sanctions, and they increase the sanction every time they want to manifest a certain policy. They've done that since President Jimmy Carter in 1980. That was the first sanction imposed on Iran. So this policy is not going to change. It is good to deal with the West and to get the best out of the West, but not at the price of your independence and sovereignty.
So in your idea, you mean that most of Iranian people, they see the problems, they see the increasing sanctions, but they like the independence and they like to have a free country, and they don't want to sell their country to the West. And about, do you have time to ask about the recent Hezbollah and Israel attacks, and what it would be, what do you think about what would happen to Israel and how much they continue? Does it could lead to a regional war attacking to Hezbollah or not?
If I may, I would like to add one other things about the Iranian elections. There are people who support the West and like good relationship with the West. Nevertheless, Mike Pompeo, when he was Secretary of State in 2020, told the Iranians, if you want to eat, you have to come to us. This is very humiliating for a country like Iran and a population that is a nation civilization, thousands of years old, that is not going to beg for their food from America. Those who want this kind of relationship, actually, they don't need to live in Iran. They can go and ask and beg for their food from the Americans. And those who want to live with dignity, they can stay and they can vote against or with the candidate that is presented. So it is their choice. In relation to Lebanon, the Israelis are in a difficult position today because they are not managing to occupy Gaza. The resistance in Palestine is still strong. The Israelis are telling the world that they have finished the resistance in the north and in the south, and there is only Rafah. But then we see them going back to the north and then to the south and then to Rafah. They lack personnel. Their army is not well trained. They lack the soul to fight because they're not the owners of the land. So this kind of army is not going to start a war against Lebanon that is much better equipped than the Palestinian resistance, that is challenging the Israelis, is bombing the Israeli barracks and military position, and taking the initiative since the 8th of October to support Gaza, and has enough power to inflict heavy destruction on Israel. This is why the Israelis are not going to invade Lebanon. And if they do, and they are completely off their head and they lose all kind of logic, then I think the Israel will observe destruction that has never been seen before.
Thank you very much. And the last question, do you think President Raisi this